I'm Vinod Advani, currently in the role of President National Accounts Group for Security Solutions and Director for SISCO. These are the two key designations or roles which I am handling, apart from the responsibility of handling B2B business of e-surveillance, that is vProtect. Well, I distinctly remember the date. That was a Raksha Bandhan day, 24th August 2010, Tuesday. So I believe all the Mangal things start with a Mangalwar. That's what happened. That was a day when I had a discussion or an interview lined up with the Group Managing Director, who was then the Chief Operating Officer in Delhi. And those 2 hours of interview stroke discussion really changed my life for good. Those 2 hours gave me an idea about what SIS is, or even before that, what security industry is all about, what facility management industry is all about, what journey or what vision Group Managing Director has, and whether it's the right sort of an industry for a person with my background and profile to work, join, and look forward to a long-term goal. So that's where, as I mentioned, 24th August 2010 is where the journey started. Post that, we have had a lot of discussions internally with GMD Energy Group members, because that was the stage when we actually formed National Account Group. The concept, the seeds were sown at that particular time. Thought process was very clear. SIS was a mid-size sort of a company or a small company in this particular industry. How do we reach the top? If we have to reach the top, we have to attack the big players. And when we have to attack them, it cannot be just the smaller accounts or local level accounts. We have to look at the big picture. So we have to look at MNC accounts, we have to look at national level accounts, we have to look at big ticket size accounts spread across the country. That's where the concept of energy started. That's where we started working on this particular thought process of Group Managing Director, and we started seeing some success. We divided ourselves, the team, into different segments. I also was given a individual sales responsibility, which even today I continue to do, apart from the different roles which I mentioned. Various segments, closing business in these segments across the country. That's how energy evolved. The next stage would be, I distinctly remember, is how do we get into cross sells? SIS is strong, or SIS started showing some momentum at that particular time in guarding. How do we take it to the next level and reap the benefits for the other verticals of the group? That's where the concept of cross-sell started. Energy started doing a lot of cross-sells, be it into housekeeping, be it into, at that particular time, tech SIS. That's what the next role or the additional role was, getting into cross-sell. 2016 is what I remember as another important destination station in this particular journey, wherein there was a discussion internally of we should move to the next stage, offer security solutions. And to begin with, the first logical step would be to offer e-surveillance. SIS got into a tie-up at that time with Prosegur, a technical tie-up. Today, in the last 6, 7, 8 years, we are the largest player in e-surveillance with more than 25,000 sites. 2, the executive committee role, which I was given the responsibility again in the year 2016-17. And today, as we sit, given an additional role of a director for SISCO, which what we call it as the second brand of man guarding company within the SIS group. So that's how the journey and the memory has been. Very clearly, one word stands apart, and that is empathy. That's what has been crucial and very important in a SIS journey, SIS growth story, SIS success. Empathy to the 3 pillars which are instrumental for any particular company. Empathy to employees, billing, non-billing, and when we talk about billing employees, across the levels, right from a janitor, guard to any particular level. Empathy towards what we call it as stakeholder or a shareholder. That's very important for the success of SIS. And last but not the least, empathy to the client. Understanding the client needs, empathizing with that, providing a solution accordingly, which works for them on a long-term basis. As I said, 2010, small to mid-size player, roughly around 350 to 400 crore. They were established giants in the guarding industry if I currently talk about. So the biggest challenge was, how do we leap forward? how do we get business across the country? How do we get business in the right segments? How do we get business from players which are established and have established relationship with the clients across the country? So I think that was the first and the foremost challenge. There were steps which we took in terms of solutions. There was a lot of homework which was done in terms of going, meeting clients, spread across cities, spread across districts, spread across what we call it as tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 locations. The best part of it was done in tandem. The NAG team, all 8, 9, 10 members at that particular time, working very closely with the operational branch managers, operational heads, regional heads, going and making a joint pitch. And once we get an order, the confidence of giving services in that particular tier 4, 5, 6 locations, I think that is what was our unique offering or unique selling point or the key to the success. The operational team was always ready to take up charge, support the business, run the business in whichever locations, geographies we get it. So I think that was the first biggest challenge which we in this particular way tried to address it. Second and third, possibly we were small to mid-sized company in security and we were just starting up in housekeeping or facility. We were always very keen on cross-sell, wanted to support facility management, housekeeping. So housekeeping, we started from scratch, getting into territories again, geographies, wherein we had literally zero presence. Same I remember at that particular time, Mentech was a company, a division which just started. So as far as success stories or anecdotes which I remember, there are many. There were many big accounts. You name the top segments for guarding like an IT, BFSI, retail, industrial clients. And most of the big accounts we got into and closed them like a Cognizant or like multiple SBIs which we got. Each business was equivalent to the regional business billing size at that particular time. Similarly, when I talk about housekeeping, there were a lot of marquee accounts which we closed at that particular time, which even today run, like a Bajaj Alliance, Bajaj Life, Bajaj General Insurance, Future Generali, so on and so forth. Mentech, I again clearly remember, was a 5 to 6 lakhs company at that particular time, and we closed a Mentech solution for Axis Bank, which was a business of 6 crore on an annualized basis for a company which was a 6 lakhs company. So these are so many emotional moments, anecdotes, wherein the team has worked together as a formidable unit and delivered. I think that has been one of the hallmarks of SIS, combining or gelling the two, tradition, which was always a strong pillar of SIS, and technology. The example which I can think about is SIS has set the road map for the industry for moving from security or housekeeping to security solutions or facility solutions. There are systems and processes and internal apps which have been developed, be it ARC, recruitment kiosk, automated, which ensures uniform recruitment happening across the country in whatever number of branches we had then, the number of branches which we have today. SaaS solutions, which is offering which we give today, software as a solution. IOPS, which again enhances the quality of services which we give to the client. SalesMax, which enhances the quality of dealing or quality of lead generation, which a particular sales manager across the country does, so on and so forth. So these are so many of the technological solutions which SIS has in-house developed. mTrainer being a very important one, which enhances the training quality, again spread across the country, because we talk about ourselves as a national player. So a national player has to give a international service all across the districts in the country, not only in few restricted cities. So these are the technological solutions, blending it with the tradition of longevity of the staff which works in the company. We have this concept of graduate training officer, which ensures there's a uniformity again of a service all across the country. These are the backbones. Training academies, which was introduced way back 3.5 to 4 decades back, so that it ensures continuous supply of manpower. This is again a traditional approach which was blended nicely with the technological solutions which I talked about. More importantly, the technical or rather the traditional approach of being with the client, empathizing with the client. The greatest example being COVID times. The traditional approach of being there for them, being in the field, trying to take care of the guards, trying to take care of the client premises, facilities, etc. Also, the traditional approach of being on the ground when anything untoward happens in a particular city, be it an arson, be it any particular riot, or be it earthquake, etc., wherein SIS team has stood on the ground and delivered. So I think this is what the true mix of tradition as well as technology would be. Basically, the biggest change which SIS has made in the security landscape would be changing the thought process of security industry from being a man guarding provider to a security solutions provider. That's where I think, as I was mentioning, the journey of going from quality guarding services to Mentech to e-surveillance to SaaS products now. That's what the biggest contribution on the change in the landscape, contribution to the landscape of SIS would be. One more very important point is, in a way, with due humbleness, if I have to say, SIS has outgrown the industry. We look beyond the industry. When I say we look beyond the industry, we compete in an area wherein our HR processes, our systems, our technology, our manpower is amongst the best when you compare to any particular 10, 12 segments which drive the Indian economy. A proof of that is we are amongst the top 3 to 4 employment generators in the country. Proof of that would be we have always been rated amongst the top 3-4 great place to work with for an employee, the top 10 great place to work with for women's safety. Another landscape change would be getting into listing, which was never a thought which had come to any industry player, that is security or facility management. So SIS was a leader when it got listed in 2017. So these are various steps as a leader, as a thought leader, which SIS has taken, which has helped change the landscape totally. Key differentiators basically would clearly again be a thought leader. SIS doesn't think about a offering from a traditional perspective. It thinks of the client's perspective and accordingly gets into a solution which is more like a security solution, which I mentioned. SIS is again a thought leader in terms of developing the market. So the responsibility of developing the thought in the market, the developing the market size itself, that's what SIS has undergone. SIS is a thought leader in terms of providing the right kind of facilities and the right kind of wage structure when it comes to the last mile worker, be it a guard, wherein SIS has been instrumental in developing the opinion in a positive way, both of the client, government, industry, in changing the minimum wage structure from unskilled to a semi-skilled or central minimum wages, or hopefully going forward, contribution in terms of changes in the labor law. So these are all thought process developments or contribution which SIS has done to develop the market, to develop the well-being of the people who work in the industry, especially the last mile worker, which is a janitor or a security guard, lady guard. Personal memory, I would say immediately the first meeting, his statement of take care of the people and the people will take care of the business. So I think that's the biggest or the first memory which I have of Chairman sir. His concept or his explanation, I remember once we were sitting in a group, his explanation of backward integration, which was really fantastic. Normally we associate backward integration in a manufacturing industry, but for him backward integration was the resources which we provide to the industry, that is a guard. So how do we generate those resources? So that's what the leadership thought is, getting into setting up training academies across the country, wherein you train quality resources across the spectrum, right from a guard to a supervisor, so on and so forth. And very importantly, the graduate training officers. So the concept and the thought which he explained, I remember at that particular time, that stays with me, of why this training academies, what is backward integration, how does it contribute in the long-term sustainability of any particular organization. I think these are the thoughts which immediately come to the mind. also, very importantly, I have had the opportunity of working with him very closely on ISSM. I think that's what a visionary leader is. ISSM was started by him to give something back to the industry, to give something back to the competitors themselves, because they have utilized ISSM, to give something back to the society. Very selfless thought which went beyond his particular company, which went beyond a particular industry, but was more tuned to how do we contribute to the society. So I think these couple of things really stand out as my immediate reaction or a thought about the interactions which I had with him. A visionary leader, understatement I would say, a fantastic human being with a highest level of EQ and a very highest level of IQ. ISSM is basically a industry body which was set up again, as I said, almost 3 decades plus. The concept was to get the industry together, understand what are the good things happening, what are the challenges the industry faces, how do we develop the industry, how do we provide the best possible solutions to the industry. When I'm talking about the industry, it's not only the companies, couple of companies like SIS, etc., but it was an opportunity, a platform for n number of players. As I said, the thought of Chairman Sir was very clear. They are not our competitors. They are here as a contributors to grow the industry and provide the right solution. So I have seen a lot of so-called competition growing by utilizing ISSM as a forum, wherein there were a lot of seminars, a lot of lectures, lot of thought process sharing which happened in the annual seminars. Apart from that, various courses which were run or even today very strongly run throughout the year, which gives training, knowledge to people who are working in this particular domain, that is security, facility. In the last few years, it's gone the next level, wherein we have also incorporated topics, subjects like disaster management. So anything which affects the country, Mother Earth, these are the topics, these are the discussions which happen, so that in a way we become an enabler and not lose business as India, as the world, and contribute in a way to the GDP size of the country, of the world. So that's in a nutshell the ISSM thought process, and that's where, as I said, only a true visionary leader would think about it. Go to a level wherein you just don't think about your company, you think much beyond that. I think clearly one word: empathy. Empathy, as I was mentioning earlier, is the brainchild internally within the group of Chairman Sir. Empathy towards employees, clearly in capital letters employees. Empathy towards stakeholders. Empathy towards clients. So that's very clearly the philosophy of Chairman Sir, which has been embedded in my thought process. Something which he talks about, if you have to grow about or you have to grow as an individual, more importantly, that is as an individual, and also professionally, you have to contribute, give back to the society. So that's a philosophy which stays in the hearts and minds of SIS group personnel. Something to do to give it back to the society, and also very importantly, to make the world a better place to live in. Clearly, we set the goals and the roadmap, there is a vision 2030, there will be a vision 2035, 2040 and beyond. I'm very sure SIS would be for achieving all these vision targets the way we have been doing in the past. But very importantly is we would be touching more lives and more families. So today, if we talk about 2.5 to 3 lakh manpower, average family size of 4, so we affect the life of 10 lakh people. Apart from the visions which I mentioned, 2030, 2035, 2040, which we'll be doing, it'll be multifold lives and multifold family lives which we'll be affecting. So that's where SIS would be contributing. Today, if we talk about, we are amongst the top 10 players in the world as a security player. Again, coming back to 2010, when we started the journey, one of the sentences shared by GMD to me was 1 billion plus, which I think today we are somewhere around 1.5 to 2 billion company. The top player in the world would be somewhere around 18 to 20 billion company. I am very clear the way forward would be to be among the top 3 players in the globe and possibly look at a 1 trillion company, that is SIS Group.
तो इस 2 साल के प्रोग्राम में जब 6 महीने की वहाँ की ट्रेनिंग के बाद जो लग जाते हैं, तो हम लोगों ने फर्स्ट टाइम इंट्रोड्यूस किया था 9th बैच में भारत दर्शन। वी बाय अ बस, वी केप्ट ऑल 22 guys over there, and we have taken across the country some tourist place and like those places also where we have deployment, where we have offices. So we visited, we met people. तो पहला भारत दर्शन था।